Library. Today, Peppa and George are going to the bookstore. Come on, family, let's get in the car. Peppa and George really love going to the bookstore. There are so many books to choose from. Peppa picks a princess book. And George chooses a dinosaur book. Today is a fun-filled swimming day for Peppa's family. Everyone is excited as they head to the pool for a day of splashing, swimming, and making unforgettable memories together. Everyone steps out from the changing rooms, Peppa and George in their colorful swimsuits. Mummy Pig and Daddy Pig are also ready to relax and enjoy a day by the pool. Everyone is putting on their swimsuits, ready for a fun day at the pool. Daddy begins to blow up the float for his little one. Daddy is blowing up the float for his daughter. Now we can go into the water! Hey! Hey! Oh, so it turns out little brother is afraid of the water. Today is sports day at Peppa's school. All the kids are so excited. The whistle blows. It's time to start. The kids line up neatly under the teacher's guidance. Their faces show excitement and anticipation. What will be the first event? They were both excitedly talking to each other about who ran faster and reached the finish line first. The race begins. The kids run with all their might, their feet flying across the ground. Who will reach the finish line first? One by one, all the others fall behind, leaving only Peppa and Rebecca Rabbit chasing each other at full speed. The cheers from the crowd get louder, and the tension rises. Molly Cat won! Wow, she's so fast!
Let's go! Aha!
Oh! and the forest walking adventure. Peppa and George walked along the forest trail, Daddy and Mummy Pig following, with trees green on both sides. Peppa spotted a yellow butterfly flying. George pointed excitedly. Daddy Pig slid lightly on a wet branch. Peppa and George giggled. Mummy Pig picked some wild strawberries and gave them to Peppa and George, both laughing happily. The family stood on a hilltop, looking at the green forest, holding hands and laughing happily. Peppa's colorful day. Today is a sunny morning, and Peppa and George are full of energy. They've decided to do something very fun, painting outdoors. Sheets of clean white paper are spread out. Paintbrushes and colors are ready to go. Peppa picks pink, and George chooses green, his favorite dinosaur color. Peppa starts drawing a big pink house with smoke coming from the chimney. George paints a roaring dinosaur. But soon a bit of paint splashes on the ground. A little on their hands, and a little on Peppa's cheek. Before long, their painting isn't just on paper anymore. It's on the table, on their clothes, and even on Daddy Pig. As the sun begins to set, Peppa and George admire their colorful masterpiece. It's not just a painting. It's a memory full of laughter and fun. Peppa Family Rainy Day. Peppa is dashing around, giggling with her dinosaur in hand. Despite the rain outside, Peppa and George are happily playing indoors. George is happily playing with his toy airplane. With a little imagination, the living room turns into Princess Peppa's castle, guarded by Sir George the dinosaur. Something's missing! George, come here! Peppa calls out. Oh dear, poor George! That chair is almost bigger than him. All hail King Dinosaur, ruler of the castle! Today is sports day at Peppa's school. All the kids are so excited. The whistle blows. It's time to start. The kids line up neatly under the teacher's guidance. Their faces show excitement and anticipation. What will be the first event? They were both excitedly talking to each other about who ran faster and reached the finish line first. The race begins! The kids run with all their might, their feet flying across the ground. Who will reach the finish line first? One by one, all the others fall behind, leaving only Peppa and Rebecca Rabbit chasing each other at full speed. The cheers from the crowd get louder, and the tension rises. Molly Cat won! Wow, she's so fast! Today is a fun-filled swimming day for Peppa's family. Everyone is excited as they head to the pool for a day of splashing, swimming, and making unforgettable memories together. Everyone steps out from the changing rooms, Peppa and George in their colorful swimsuits. Mummy Pig and Daddy Pig are also ready to relax and enjoy a day by the pool. Everyone is putting on their swimsuits, ready for a fun day at the pool. Daddy begins to blow up the float for his little one. Daddy is blowing up the float for his daughter. Now we can go into the water. Hey! Hey! Oh, so it turns out little brother is afraid of the water. It's a beautiful morning at Peppa's house. George Pig really loves to play outside. Mommy, Daddy, and Peppa have already gone out too. Hop in the car. Time to hit the road. George Pig loves going shopping with his family. Peppa and George love going shopping. Hey! Hey! First, we need to find the bananas. One fine evening, Little Pig was sleeping soundly in his room. But as he closed his eyes and fell asleep, a strange dream began. The little pig opened his eyes and found himself at the bottom of the sea, surrounded by colorful fish and beautiful coral reefs. Little Pig wanders into an underwater garden where sea flowers are blooming and dancing to cheerful music. Whoa! The baby pig swims like a little fish and can even surf like a superhero. Everything under the sea is fun and colorful. After a wonderful adventure, Little Pig felt a little tired and decided to return to the real world. The water world gradually disappeared, leaving behind a feeling of relief.
يوم السباحة الممتع جدا. اليوم هو يوم مثالي للسباحة. بيبا بيج وعائلتها متحمسون للغاية. واو! هناك الكثير من ألعاب السباحة الممتعة. عوامة على شكل بطيخة، وأخرى تشبه دونات عملاقة. يا لها من متعة! ياهو! يا لها من لحظة سباحة لا تنسى. الجميع مبلل، لكنهم يضحكون بسعادة. وهكذا ينتهي يوم السباحة لعائلة بيبا وسط ضحكات مليئة بالسعادة.
The Egg and Spoon Race. Today, Peppa and George are joining a very special race. The Egg and Spoon Race. The little ones must keep their eggs perfectly balanced.
The race has started. Peppa is in the lead. She is walking very fast and skillfully. Go on, Peppa and George.
Oh, a beautiful butterfly just flew by. Oh no, Peppa got a surprise and the egg has fallen onto the grass. What a pity. Congratulations, George. He made it to the finish line safely. Anyway, it was such a fun race, wasn't it? Peppa Pig and the clock that rang at the wrong time. Everything is calm and peaceful until the clock suddenly rings even though it's clearly not the right time. Peppa notices the wall clock. The hands aren't moving, but the bell is very busy. George takes a closer look, and as if answering him, the clock rings again. Peppa gently touches the clock, and it immediately proves that it loves attention. Suddenly, the minute hand spins quickly, as if the clock is trying to catch up with time. In the end, the clock goes quiet again. Peppa and George learn that sometimes time just needs a reminder that everyone is having fun.
Huh?
Peppa Pig and the Backward Clock. One quiet afternoon, Peppa and George noticed something strange about the clock in their living room. Instead of moving forward, the clock hands begin to turn backward. As the clock runs backward, everything seems to slow down. Even the smallest movements become gentle and slow. With a light touch, time pauses for a moment. When everything returns to normal, Peppa realizes that sometimes slowing down can be fun too.
One fresh morning, Peppa and her little brother George were playing in front of their house. Suddenly, they heard the cheerful jingling sound coming from afar. Rabbit and cat friends quickly ran over, each holding a fluffy, sweet cotton candy stick. They excitedly shouted to Peppa and George, "There's a cotton candy cart near the forest. It's really delicious." Hearing the news, Peppa and George were thrilled. The two of them eagerly hurried toward the forest. When they arrived, they saw a colorful cart filled with all kinds of cotton candy in different flavors. Peppa and George each chose a big, fluffy stick for themselves. It was truly a sweet and joyful morning.
Peppa Pig and the ice cream that wouldn't melt. On a warm, sunny day, Peppa holds a big ice cream. Strangely, the ice cream doesn't melt. Even under the bright sun, it stays the same. George touches it and finds it still cold. Finally, a small drop begins to melt. Even the strangest things only last for a little while.
Peppa Pig and the Starry Night. The night sky unfolds, deep blue and sprinkled with twinkling stars. Peppa and George sit on the porch, eyes wide with wonder. Daddy Pig brings out a small telescope. Peppa and George jump excitedly, ready for their starry adventure. They sit on the roof, peering through the telescope at the distant stars, sparkling like diamonds. A shooting star streaks across the sky. Peppa and George point excitedly, eyes filled with delight. Mummy Pig steps out and stands beside Daddy Pig, amazed as the sky fills entirely with shooting stars. Under the gentle moonlight, Peppa and George hold their parents' hands, feeling peaceful and happy on this magical night.
Wow!
Peppa Pig and the Dance Day Adventure. Peppa and George stood in the living room. Daddy and Mummy Pig prepared music.
Wow!
Peppa bounced to the music. George spun around happily, both smiling brightly. Daddy Pig tried to dance along, stumbled a bit. Peppa and George giggled. Mummy Pig helped Daddy Pig keep the rhythm. Peppa and George danced around, clapping to the music. Peppa and George danced continuously, spinning and raising their hands. The whole family laughed joyfully. The family sat together on the couch, relaxing after dancing, laughing, and resting happily.
Peppa Pig and the Little Spoon. Whoa. On some happy day, Peppa finds a small spoon on the table. She looks into it and sees a funny reflection.
Wow!
George curiously looks into the spoon as well. Peppa taps the spoon lightly, making a small sound. George joins in, creating a simple rhythm. The little spoon turns into a fun and creative game for Peppa and George.
One beautiful morning, Little Pig and Little Pig were walking in the garden. Little Pig suddenly discovered a big rock. But the strange thing was, this rock could move. The curious little pig approached the rock, and in the blink of an eye, the rock started rolling, as if it wanted to lead the little pig somewhere. The stone led Little Pig into a mysterious area of the garden, where there was a small gate covered with wildflowers. The gate seemed never to have been opened. As they passed through the mysterious gate, Little Pig and Sister Pig enter a magical garden, a vast flower garden, and a giant candy garden. So the adventure ends, but this mysterious garden will surely have many interesting things waiting for Little Pig and Sister Pig to discover. Who knows where this stone will lead them next? Peppa and the Rolling Balloon. Peppa walks into the living room. A small toy car lies on the floor. Peppa sees the toy car and gets an idea.
2 hours later.
Peppa holds a balloon. Peppa ties the balloon string to the back of the toy car. Peppa gently pushes the car. The car rolls slowly. The balloon sways behind. Peppa opens her eyes wide with delight. George runs into the room. George sees the toy car rolling. George lightly taps the car. The car rolls faster on the floor. The car rolls around the living room. Peppa and George run after the car.
Yahoo!
After catching the car, they look at each other and laugh happily.
Peppa Pig and the hat that wouldn't stay still. Peppa loves her new hat. It looks perfect and fits just right. But the hat doesn't seem to agree with its position. Peppa carefully fixes the hat, and it immediately chooses a new spot. George finds this very funny. The hat looks like it's playing a game. Finally, the hat decides to rest for a while on the grass. Peppa learns that sometimes being comfortable is better than wearing a perfect hat. Peppa Pig and the toothbrush. On a bright and joyful morning, Peppa notices a small toothbrush in a cup. She picks it up and looks at it curiously. Peppa pretends to brush her teeth very seriously. George quickly copies what Peppa is doing. They both brush in a fast and funny way. Even simple daily things can turn into a fun little game.
Peppa and the puzzle game. Peppa and George are ready to play with colorful building blocks. They don't know that today, the blocks will be very special. Oh no! The first block jumps and changes color. Peppa and George are wide-eyed and giggle with surprise. The other blocks also transform into little animals dancing all over the floor. Peppa and George chase them, picking them up with laughter.
Yahoo!
The blocks form funny shapes, then change into new ones. Peppa and George try to guess, but are always surprised and laugh non-stop. Finally, the blocks return to normal, but still brightly colored. Peppa and George giggle happily, enjoying the magical shape-shifting game.
Peppa Pig and the shadow that wouldn't listen. It's a sunny afternoon until Peppa and George notice that there's an extra shadow on the ground. This shadow doesn't follow what Peppa does. It clearly enjoys doing the opposite. Every time they try to control it, the shadow finds a new way to not cooperate. So Peppa and George stop trying to understand it and start playing with it instead. And then, as a cloud passes by, the shadow disappears as if it was never there. Peppa and George learn that some things don't need to be understood. They just need to be played with.
Peppa Pig and the giant paper crane.
Yahoo!
After the rain, a small stream appears in the yard, drawing Peppa and George's curiosity. Wow! A giant glowing paper crane floats toward them like magic. It lifts them gently into a magical journey around the garden. It carries them through a star-filled universe with shimmering planets. At the end, it brings them home and shrinks into Peppa's hand like a mysterious gift.
The Apple Harvest. Today is Apple Harvest Day. Daddy Pig says he has a very fast way to pick apples without using a ladder. Look! Daddy Pig is shaking the tree. 1, 2... The ripe red apples are falling down. Well done, Daddy Pig. Oh, it's not just apples. A little bird fell down too. It's sitting right on top of Daddy Pig's head.
Daddy Pig is a magnet for surprises. Everyone is having a big laugh together.
Peppa Pig and the colorful umbrella. One day, Peppa notices a colorful umbrella in the corner of the room. She picks it up and opens it wide. George stands under the umbrella and looks up at the bright colors. Peppa gently spins the umbrella. George tries spinning the umbrella too and giggles with joy. The colorful umbrella turns into a fun little game for Peppa and George.
Peppa Pig and the storytelling chair. It's raining outside. Peppa looks at Daddy Pig's old chair and asks, "Can the chair talk, Daddy?"
Aha!
Daddy Pig smiles. Of course! It has heard thousands of stories. George curiously touches the armrest. Suddenly, the chair shakes gently and begins, "Once upon a time." Peppa and George stare in amazement.
Yahoo!
In their imagination, Peppa and George go on adventures, riding dinosaurs, flying over rainbows. They wake up on the same chair, smiling. Daddy Pig chuckles. Told you it can tell stories. Everyone laughs happily.
Peppa Pig and the door that wouldn't open. It's a perfect day, but the door to the garden refuses to cooperate. Peppa pulls, George pushes, the door chooses to stay completely still. Maybe they're standing in the wrong place. They try again, but the door doesn't change its mind. When nothing works, Peppa does the most important thing, takes a short break. And then, when no one touches it, the door slowly opens on its own. Peppa and George learn that sometimes the hardest things become easy when you stop trying too hard.
One winter night, while Peppa and George are sleeping, snow begins to fall. A cold breeze wakes George up, and he calls Peppa to come outside and see the snow. The two quickly put on their warm clothes and run into the yard. To their surprise, there is a sparkling Christmas tree and a beautiful snowman. Peppa and George happily go over and build another snowman together, laughing and playing with joy.
Today, Bluey looks a little sad, slowly walking around the backyard. Just then, she spots Bingo. Bingo runs out of the house and starts bouncing happily by the door. Inside the house, Dad is lying back and humming while looking at the ceiling. She tells Dad, "Come on, let's go play with the kids." Bluey and Bingo get super excited when they see them. Mom starts dancing with Bluey and Bingo.
Oh!
Dad runs back inside and brings out a speaker to make the dancing even more fun. George play with a paper airplane. Peppa sits in the living room with a paper. Peppa folds the paper into a paper airplane. Peppa holds the airplane and looks at it happily. George stands nearby and curiously looks at the airplane. Peppa gives George a paper airplane. They stand side by side holding their airplanes. Peppa throws her airplane first. George throws his airplane into the air. The two airplanes glide through the air. One airplane circles and lands on the grass. Peppa and George run after the airplanes. George picks up the airplane and gives it to Peppa. They look at each other and laugh happily.
A hot, sunny afternoon. My sister and I were talking and decided to go to the pool to beat the heat. And off they went, all excited, heading to the swimming pool. They arrived and saw their friend happily splashing in the water.
Hey, hey! Okay, let's go!
The little sister jumped into the pool, splashing around happily, while the big sister relaxed and sunbathed on a colorful chair. One clear morning, you and I were still fast asleep. Suddenly, a friend showed up and knocked on the door. Our close friend smiled and said, "Let's go for a walk, you two." Suddenly, a mysterious object began to leak. It turned the white rabbit pink.
Hey!
Luckily, the strange object managed to retrieve the leaking item just in time.
Woo-hoo-hoo! Uh-oh. Whoa! Uh-oh. Whoa!
Oh, it's raining so hard today. Peppa and George are standing by the window and, wow, they're thinking of an exciting adventure. Peppa can't wait any longer. She jumps outside with her umbrella. And what about George? He's following her with his little helmet. They both love playing in the puddles. Peppa jumps in every puddle, and each time the water splashes everywhere. They're laughing out loud, and it seems like the rain can't make them sad. Peppa and George keep playing in the rain without feeling cold. The rain has become their best friend. Finally, Peppa and George decide to go back inside, but they can't stop laughing. A wonderful day of rain and fun adventures has come to an end. So, no matter rain or shine, Peppa and George always know how to make everything fun. One fine evening, Little Pig was sleeping soundly in his room. But as he closed his eyes and fell asleep, a strange dream began. The little pig opened his eyes and found himself at the bottom of the sea, surrounded by colorful fish and beautiful coral reefs. Little Pig wanders into an underwater garden where sea flowers are blooming and dancing to cheerful music. The baby pig swims like a little fish and can even surf like a superhero. Everything under the sea is fun and colorful. After a wonderful adventure, Little Pig felt a little tired and decided to return to the real world. The water world gradually disappeared, leaving behind a feeling of relief. A happy morning starts with, a delicious chocolate cake. Oh my, who could resist? But when the baby turned around, oh what? Where did the cake go? The little pig is on a hunt. Under the table, in the fridge, even in his boots. And finally, the cake was right in the hands of the pig, eating deliciously. But don't worry, Piggy has prepared a second portion of cake for you. How sweet! Little Pig and his sister decided to explore a forest that was said to have many strange things. But no one expected that. Today would be a special adventure. As they went deeper into the forest, they came across a giant tree, standing tall in the middle of the road. But not any ordinary tree. Suddenly, a mysterious warning rang out from within the tree. Be careful, darkness is approaching, and things will never be the same again. Suddenly, the atmosphere changed. The shadows of the trees began to move, but it wasn't the wind. Little Pig and Sister Pig ran faster, but the darkness seemed to be unyielding. And in the end, nothing strange happened. Everything was in the sisters' imagination. Little Pig and Sister Pig are preparing a wonderful party with delicious grilled food. Everyone is happy, but something unexpected is about to happen. Suddenly, there was a sizzling sound from the oven. Something was definitely wrong. Little Pig and Big Sister Pig ran around the kitchen in a panic. Little Pig grabbed everything to put out the fire while Big Sister searched for a towel. But would this help? But then a miracle happened. Sister Pig found the fire extinguisher and ran out to put out the fire. One beautiful morning, Little Pig and Little Pig were walking in the garden. Little Pig suddenly discovered a big rock. But the strange thing was, this rock could move. The curious little pig approached the rock, and in the blink of an eye, the rock started rolling, as if it wanted to lead the little pig somewhere. The stone led Little Pig into a mysterious area of the garden, where there was a small gate covered with wildflowers. The gate seemed never to have been opened. As they passed through the mysterious gate, Little Pig and Sister Pig enter a magical garden, a vast flower garden, and a giant candy garden. So the adventure ends, but this mysterious garden will surely have many interesting things waiting for Little Pig and Sister Pig to discover. Who knows where this stone will lead them next?
Peppa Pig and the Flying Umbrella. A sudden rain makes Peppa grab her colorful umbrella. Today, the umbrella seems excited by the wind. A strong gust lifts the umbrella higher than expected. It spins in the air like it's performing. As the wind slows down, the umbrella gently returns. Sometimes, even the rain brings a little adventure.
Peppa and the sparkly bunny friend. Little Peppa was playing with her stuffed bunny. Big Peppa came over and asked curiously, "Where did you get this, bunny?" Little Peppa smiled and pointed into the distance. The two sisters ran off and discovered a magical scene, a table and chairs made of mooncakes, and a big gate guarded by white rabbits. Little Peppa sat on a mooncake chair and pointed to the gate. Big Peppa bravely went inside and soon came back, holding two more lovely stuffed bunnies. The sisters were overjoyed, hugging all their bunnies as they sat together at the mooncake tea table under the gentle moonlight. Peppa and the shared lunch. Today, there's a new friend, Wendy Wolf, who forgot her lunch.
Hey!
Peppa looks at her two sandwiches and thinks of Wendy sitting quietly. "Let's share," says Peppa. Wendy smiles happily. Everyone shares their food. The playground fills with laughter. Madame Gazelle smiles. Sharing warms both the heart and the tummy.
Peppa Pig and the Magic Toy Car. One day, Peppa and George discover a small toy car on the floor. Peppa gently pushes the car, and it rolls forward quickly. George happily drives the car around the room. In their imagination, the little car becomes a real car on a long road. The toy car climbs over hills and passes through fluffy clouds. Soon the car stops, but the fun adventure in their imagination continues. Peppa and George's robot and dinosaur toys. Today, the two siblings have new toys. George has a robot, and Peppa has a yellow dinosaur. They play together, taking the robot and dinosaur from the room out into the yard. Imagine exciting adventures and happily enjoy their favorite toys. On a hot summer day, George stays at home, sitting in front of a fan to cool off. Peppa Pig comes and sits next to him.
Wow!
Just then, their parents return home from work and see how hot the kids are, so they invite them to go outside. Suddenly, an ice cream truck arrives, bringing cool, delicious treats. The whole family enjoys the ice cream together and has a happy, joyful day.
Whoa!
On a happy Sunday, George brings home a small young plant and invites the whole family to plant it in the yard. Peppa, Mummy Pig, and Daddy Pig join George to dig the soil and carefully plant the tree.
2 hours later.
After waiting for some time, Peppa and George run outside to check the plant. To their surprise, in front of them is a lush little forest full of green leaves. The two siblings happily jump with joy because their small garden has turned into a beautiful forest.
A day at home without Mom and Dad. This morning, Mummy Pig is getting ready to go to work. She reminds the kids, "Peppa, George, be good while I'm gone." Both of them reply cheerfully, "Yes, Mommy." In the living room, Daddy Pig is also getting ready to leave for a while. He bends down and says, "I'll be back soon." Remember, don't open the door for strangers. When Mommy and Daddy leave, the house suddenly feels so quiet. The two start playing happily, laughing all around the house. But oh no, toys are everywhere, crayons rolling on the floor, pillows flying onto the sofa.